A desperate call in the dead of night. What was found? The phone's shrill ring shattered the midnight silence at Cedar Ridge Wildlife Sanctuary. Victoria Dawson, the 58-year-old founder with 3 decades of rehabilitation experience, answered to hear Ranger Luke Harrison's urgent report. Poachers near Flagstaff had killed a mother bobcat, leaving 3 4-week-old cubs orphaned. As Victoria sped toward the sanctuary's nursery, her mind raced. Cubs this young rarely survived without maternal care. The clock was already ticking on their fragile lives. The examination room revealed the cub's grim condition: dehydrated, underweight, and trembling in the sterile cage. Zoe Reynolds, Victoria's 22-year-old granddaughter and wildlife intern, carefully assessed their vitals while fighting back tears. Ranger Luke described finding them crammed in a backpack at a truck stop, victims of the illegal exotic pet trade. The smallest cub, a female with a distinctive white ear patch, barely had strength to lift her head. Victoria's experienced hands shook as she prepared emergency fluids. 3 days into intensive care, Victoria faced every rehabilitator's nightmare. Despite round-the-clock efforts with specialized formula and syringes, the cubs refused all nourishment. The largest male cub suffered a stress-induced seizure after a feeding attempt. Their bodies are shutting down, Dr. Mateo Silva confirmed grimly. Victoria's usual confidence wavered as she watched the cubs huddle together, growing weaker by the hour. Without immediate intervention, these survivors would join their mother in death. Zoe hesitated before voicing her radical suggestion. "Bella just weaned her puppies," she reminded Victoria. The sanctuary's resident golden mutt, a gentle rescue with exceptional maternal instincts, had recently nursed 6 puppies to health. Victoria initially dismissed the idea. Pairing a domestic dog with wild bobcats violated every rehabilitation protocol. But as the cubs' conditions deteriorated, even this unconventional solution warranted consideration. "We're out of options," Zoe pressed, her young eyes pleading for permission to try. When Bella first entered the nursery, the staff held their collective breath. The golden-furred dog approached cautiously, her tail wagging slowly in curiosity. Then something miraculous unfolded. Bella began grooming the smallest cub, now called Luna, with tender licks, just as she'd done with her puppies. The frail bobcat, who had rejected all human contact, leaned into the affection instinctively. Sanctuary staff exchanged stunned glances. Nature was defying expectations right before their eyes. 6. Bella's secret. Why this rescue dog was special. Bella's extraordinary nature became apparent during her own rescue last winter. Found nearly frozen in a drainage ditch while pregnant, the mixed-breed survivor had nursed her 6 puppies through near-impossible odds. Dr. Silva often remarked on her once-in-a-career temperament. Now, that same nurturing spirit extended to 3 wild bobcat orphans. The dog seemed to understand their vulnerability, adapting her maternal behaviors to their feline needs in ways that baffled even seasoned experts. Against all odds, the cubs finally eat. On the 5th desperate day, the impossible occurred. Under Bella's watchful care, the cubs, now named Luna, Hunter, and Bandit, began nursing weekly. Zoe documented the milestone with trembling hands, tears blurring her camera lens. Even skeptical Dr. Silva admitted defeat. "I've never witnessed cross-species adoption like this." Victoria observed the makeshift family with quiet awe. Her decades of textbooks hadn't prepared her for this living miracle unfolding in their modest nursery. 8. From starving to thriving, the unlikely family. Within a week, Bella's devotion transformed the cubs dramatically. Luna, the white-eared female, became the first to playfully attack Bella's wagging tail. Hunter, the largest male, displayed surprising protective instincts toward his canine mother. Bandit, the runt, earned his name through constant mischief. Sanctuary volunteers marveled at how Bella seamlessly taught both canine and feline behaviors, creating a unique hybrid upbringing that challenged conventional wildlife rehabilitation wisdom. 9. Dr. Simon Wright's warning: this can't last forever. During his monthly consultation, zoologist Dr. Simon Wright delivered a sobering reality check. "They're developing beautifully," he acknowledged, watching Luna scale Bella's back, "but bobcats aren't domestic animals." His expression darkened as he explained the inevitable complications. "That bond will make reintroduction nearly impossible." Victoria and Zoe exchanged uneasy glances. They'd successfully saved the cubs' lives, but now faced an ethical dilemma about preserving their wild essence. The heartbreaking decision no one wanted to make. As the cubs reached 8 weeks, Victoria gathered her exhausted team. "We face 3 impossible choices," she summarized, massaging her temples. "Separate them now, condemn them to permanent captivity, or—" Zoe completed the unspoken alternative, find a facility willing to take them all together. The room fell heavy with silence. Even Bella, curled protectively around her unusual litter, seemed to sense the impending storm, her ears twitching at the tense human voices. The cubs blossomed into distinct personalities under Bella's care. Luna, the white-eared female, displayed cautious intelligence, always observing before acting. Hunter, the largest male, developed protective instincts far beyond his weeks. Bandit, the runt, earned his name through constant mischief, stealing food, unraveling bandages, and hiding toys. Bella managed their quirks effortlessly, correcting Bandit with gentle nips while encouraging Luna's curiosity. Sanctuary volunteers often paused their work just to watch this unconventional family's daily routines, marveling at how naturally the dog mothered these wild feline. Bella's parenting defied nature textbooks. She taught feline behaviors through canine methods, demonstrating paw washing by licking their faces, encouraging hunting through playbows and chase games. When Hunter became too aggressive, she'd pin him with one paw until he relaxed. Luna learned fastest, mirroring Bella's alert posture and ear movements. Dr. Silva noted in his charts, Subject A, Bella, has created a hybrid communication system blending species-specific behaviors. The cubs responded with unique vocalizations, purrs mixed with puppy-like yips that made volunteers laugh in wonder. The pivotal moment came on day 27. Without prompting, Bandit launched at Hunter, sparking their first real play fight. They wrestled like kittens but with surprising coordination, using both feline pounces and canine playbows. Luna joined by hunting a feather toy, her tail twitching in perfect Bobcat fashion. Then, in a heart-stopping moment, she leapt onto Bella's back, clinging like a kitten while the dog wagged her tail happily. Zoe's video of this moment would later go viral, capturing what experts called the most extraordinary cross-species bonding ever documented. Zoe's research notebooks overflowed with groundbreaking observations. Day 34. Hunter growled at a stranger pure wild instinct. Day 40. Luna groomed Bella like a littermate. Her most startling entry read, "They've developed a unique social hierarchy that blends feline and canine traits." When Dr. Wright reviewed her findings, his skepticism turned to astonishment. "This challenges everything we know about species isolation," he admitted. The cubs were thriving, but their very success created a new problem. How could these bobcats, raised with canine behaviors, ever return to the wild? The first separation attempt lasted just 18 minutes. Bella's desperate howls echoed through the sanctuary. Inside the enclosure, the cubs panicked. Hunter rammed the walls until his nose bled, while Luna and Bandit huddled together, trembling. "Abort now," Victoria ordered. When reunited, Bella frantically licked Hunter's wounds as the cubs pressed against her. That night, the staff gathered in somber silence. "We've created something beautiful," Dr. Silva said, "but nature's rules still apply." The question hung heavily in the air. Had their rescue doomed these bobcats to a life in captivity? The second separation test proved more devastating. Bella refused food for 2 days, her mournful cries keeping everyone awake. The cubs, now adolescent-sized, retreated to a dark corner of their enclosure, ignoring even fresh meat. "They're not just stressed, they're grieving," Zoe realized with dawning horror. Dr. Wright's warning rang in their ears. This trauma could undo all their progress. As Bella's ribs began showing through her golden coat, Victoria made the hardest decision of her career. They needed a miracle solution, or risk losing all 4 of them. 17. An impossible choice. The ethics committee debated late into the night. "They're wild animals, not pets," one member insisted. Another countered, "But breaking this bond might kill them." Meanwhile, the subjects of this debate slept peacefully in a furry pile. Bella's tail curled protectively around the growing bobcats. It was Zoe who found the glimmer of hope, a Colorado preserve that had successfully housed a lynx raised by a fox. "Highland Peak Wildlife Preserve," she announced. thrusting her laptop forward. They might take them all. Victoria's hands shook as she reached for the phone. Dr. Simon Wright's tense negotiation with Highland Peak's director lasted exactly 53 minutes. When he finally hung up, his face revealed the answer before he spoke. "They'll take all 4, he said. But Bella transitions to their headkeeper once the cubs fully wean. Victoria's relief warred with sudden grief. Sending Bella away felt like losing a family member. That evening, she sat with the golden dog, stroking her ears. "You gave them life," she whispered. "Now we have to let you give them freedom." The Colorado Preserve offered something extraordinary. A 3-acre natural habitat with specialized keepers experienced in cross-species bonds. Headkeeper Isabel Morales, a petite woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor, explained their plan via video call. "We'll gradually increase their independence while maintaining supervised contact with Bella." As Isabel detailed the enclosure's design, complete with climbing structures and hidden dens, Zoe's nervous excitement grew. This wasn't just a transfer. It was a chance to study something revolutionary. But as she packed the cubs' medical records, one question haunted her. Would this extraordinary family survive the transition? Departure day arrived with a mix of tears and hope. Bella hesitated at the van door, looking back at the only home she'd known. The cubs, now nearly full-grown, vocalized constantly in their transport crates. Zoe hugged Victoria tightly, both women crying unashamedly. "You saved them twice," Zoe whispered, "first from death, now from separation." As the convoy pulled away, Ranger Luke stood at attention, his usual gruffness replaced by visible emotion. The sanctuary staff watched until the vehicles disappeared, each carrying a piece of their hearts. Somewhere ahead on the road to Colorado, an unprecedented new chapter in wildlife rehabilitation was beginning. The transport van carried precious cargo, 3 growing bobcats and their canine mother. Isabel Morales kept a careful eye on her unusual charges as the landscape changed from Arizona's red rocks to Colorado's towering peaks. Bella remained alert, watching the crates containing Luna, Hunter, and Bandit. Every rest stop brought anxious moments. Would the cubs panic in unfamiliar territory? But when Isabel opened the crates briefly for water, all 3 pressed against Bella, drawing comfort from her familiar scent. The bond formed in crisis was now their lifeline in transition. Highland Peak's enclosure stretched before them, 3 acres of pine forest, rocky outcroppings, and hidden dens. The cubs hesitated at the gate, their ears flicking nervously. Then Bella trotted in confidently, glancing back as if saying, "Follow me." Luna went first, with Hunter and Bandit close behind. That night, Isabel slept nearby in the observation cabin, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of bobcat chirps mixed with Bella's contented sighs. At dawn, she found all 4 curled together on a sun-warmed rock, the first peaceful night in their new home. As weeks passed, Bella's parenting evolved. She no longer needed to nurse them, but her presence remained crucial. When loud machinery startled the cubs, she positioned herself between them and the noise. During their first snowstorm, she herded them to the sheltered den. Most remarkably, she began stepping back during hunts, letting the bobcats practice their skills on live prey provided by the keepers. "She knows they need to be wild," Isabel noted in her logs. Yet every evening, the family still groomed each other, their mixed vocalizations echoing through the pines. The breakthrough came on a crisp autumn morning. A rabbit entered the enclosure, the first live prey the bobcats would encounter without barriers. Hunter's muscles coiled as instinct took over. Bella watched intently but didn't interfere. One lightning pounce later, the young male stood over his kill. Isabel held her breath as Bella approached. Would she intervene? Instead, the dog licked Hunter's face proudly before stepping back to let him eat. That night, Hunter brought the leftover carcass to share with Bella, a behavior wild bobcats show only to family. The message was clear: she was still his mother. As months passed, natural instincts pulled the bobcats in different directions. Luna became increasingly independent, often disappearing for days to explore the enclosure's farthest reaches. Bandit developed into a skilled climber, scaling trees with effortless grace. Only Hunter maintained constant contact with Bella, following her like a shadow. Isabel worried, was the bond weakening too quickly? Then one evening, she witnessed Luna returning from a long absence, going straight to Bella for an extended grooming session. Some connections, it seemed, transcended even the wildest instincts. The transition plan called for Bella to eventually live with Isabel as a companion animal. At first, the separation trials were heartbreaking. Bella would pace by the enclosure fence, whining softly. But gradually, she adapted to domestic life, enjoying evening walks and belly rubs. Yet every morning, without fail, she'd wait by the gate for her workday, supervising her bobcats. The preserve staff marveled at how she instinctively knew when one was distressed, rushing to comfort them with nuzzles and licks. This was no ordinary dog, and everyone knew it. Winter brought the first real test. Hunter, now a magnificent adult male, stopped eating. He grew listless, withdrawing to the highest rock ledge. The veterinary team found nothing physically wrong. It's psychological, Dr. Samuel Carter diagnosed. He's conflicted between wild instincts and that extraordinary bond. As a last resort, Isabel brought Bella to him. What happened next stunned observers. The 90-pound bobcat collapsed against the 50-pound dog, rumbling with deep purrs as she groomed his face. Within days, Hunter was hunting again, though he never strayed far from Bella afterward. Spring revealed why Luna had been so independent. She was pregnant. Wildlife experts debated removing the kittens, fearing they'd imprint on Bella. But when the two spotted cubs emerged, something remarkable happened. Luna brought them to Bella, allowing the dog to inspect them. Bella's response? Gentle licks, then immediate retreat, respecting boundaries while affirming their connection. She understands, Isabel realized. This is Luna's turn to mother. Yet in stressful moments, Luna still sought Bella's reassurance, proving some bonds withstand even nature's cycles. The mischievous male lived up to his name one summer night, scaling the enclosure's unclimbable fence. Staff panicked until Bella led them straight to his hiding spot in a nearby creek bed. Rather than fleeing, Bandit rubbed against Bella like a house cat before following her back. That dog just did in minutes what would have taken us days, the head keeper admitted. The incident sparked heated debates about the Bobcat's readiness for release, but one fact was undeniable. Bella remained their true north, their tether between wild and tame. Years passed, and the Bobcats matured into magnificent adults with territories of their own. Yet regularly, like clockwork, they'd return to the clearing near Bella's cabin. Isabel would watch from the window as the now massive predators greeted their aging canine mother with headbutts and rumbling purrs. Scientists came worldwide to study this phenomenon, but the truth was simple: love had rewritten the rules. As Bella's muzzle grayed, her legacy grew clearer. Family isn't defined by species, but by the bonds we choose to honor. And this family, against all odds, had chosen each other. The first winter at Highland Peak arrived with a vengeance, burying the enclosure under 2 feet of snow. Luna, Hunter, and Bandit faced their first true test of survival. At dawn, Isabel watched through binoculars as the Bobcats hesitated at the den entrance, until Bella bounded out first, carving a path through the drifts like a canine snowplow. The cubs followed single file, learning to high-step through the powder. By afternoon, they developed their own techniques. Luna's delicate paw placements, Hunter's powerful leaps, Bandit's hilarious faceplants. That night, all 4 slept piled together in the den, their shared warmth defying the storm outside. The incident happened during a routine enclosure check. A stray dog, likely a pet abandoned by hunters, slipped through the perimeter fence. As it charged toward Bella, snarling, something extraordinary happened. Hunter, now 80 pounds of pure muscle, placed himself between his canine mother and the threat. His warning growl shook the trees as he advanced, every inch the wild predator. The intruder fled. Bella licked Hunter's face afterward, her tail wagging slowly. Isabel, who'd been ready to intervene, lowered her tranquilizer rifle in awe. After all she's done for them, she whispered. Now they're protecting her. Isabel spent 3 frantic days searching after Bandit vanished from his usual haunts. Thermal drones, trail cameras, even scent hounds found nothing. Then Bella, during her evening walk, suddenly pulled Isabel off trail. She led them to a hidden cave behind a waterfall, where Bandit had created a veritable treasure trove. Stolen gloves, a keeper's hat, even a walkie-talkie were arranged meticulously in the damp space. "You little thief," Isabel laughed as Bandit blinked innocently from his plunder. Bella's knowing look said it all. "I always know where my kids are." The incident became legendary among staff, proof that Bandit's mischief and Bella's vigilance knew no bounds. Spring brought unexpected behavior from the typically independent Luna. She began leaving gifts at Bella's cabin door, fresh kills, perfectly intact. "It's a wild bobcat's way of providing for family," Dr. Carter explained. But Bella, ever the domestic dog, would nudge the offerings toward Isabel with a "you deal with this" expression. The standoff continued for weeks until Luna finally accepted Bella's disinterest. Instead, she started bringing weathered bones, which Bella happily gnawed on the porch. Their compromise touched the team, wild instincts adapting to sustain an impossible bond. As the Bobcats reached sexual maturity, experts predicted Bella's influence would wane. They were wrong. When a young male Bobcat, transferred from another facility, was introduced to the enclosure, he made the mistake of growling at Bella. All three siblings materialized from the trees like furry ghosts, surrounding the newcomer with lowered ears and twitching tails. No violence occurred, just an unmistakable message: she's ours. The intruder spent the next month carefully avoiding Bella's napping spots. "That's not just protection," Isabel noted. "That's respect for their mother." The first sign was subtle: Bella taking longer to rise from her bed. Then came the labored breathing, the clouded eyes. At nearly 12 years old, the once vibrant rescue dog was aging rapidly. Blood tests revealed advanced kidney failure. Isabel made the difficult decision to move Bella indoors full-time, but the Bobcats refused to accept it. They began appearing at the cabin windows, chirping and pawing at the glass. Finally, Isabel relented, setting up a heated dog bed on the porch. That night, thermal cameras captured all three Bobcats curled around Bella in a protective circle, their body heat compensating for her failing systems. A violent thunderstorm hit the preserve the week Bella stopped eating. Lightning split the sky as the Bobcats did something unprecedented: they broke into the cabin. Isabel awoke to find the front door scratched open and three soaking wet Bobcats pressed against Bella's trembling form. Hunter licked her face urgently while Luna and Bandit flanked her sides, purring like engines. When the vet arrived at dawn, he found Bella alert and nibbling chicken from Isabel's hand, with three wild predators growling at anyone who came too close. "I wouldn't believe it if I wasn't seeing it," he murmured. Against all odds, Bella rallied. News of Bella's declining health sparked a global response. The preserve launched the Bella Fund, financing cross-species rehabilitation research. Schoolchildren sent drawings of the unlikely family. Scientists begged for DNA samples. Through it all, the Bobcats maintained their vigil, Luna bringing herbs from the forest, Hunter standing guard during vet visits, Bandit sneaking in to leave treasures, mostly stolen socks, by Bella's bed. "They know," Isabel told a documentary crew, "and they're saying goodbye in the only ways they can." The footage of Luna gently grooming Bella's graying face would later win a Pulitzer. On Bella's final good day, Isabel let her lead the way. Slowly, painfully, the old dog visited every meaningful spot: the nursery enclosure, the feeding station, the waterfall where Bandit hid his loot. The Bobcats followed silently, matching her pace. At sunset, Bella collapsed in the wildflower meadow where she'd first played with them as cubs. There, surrounded by her unconventional family, she slipped into peaceful unconsciousness. The vet administered the final injection as Luna rested her head on Bella's side, Hunter licked her ears, and Bandit pressed his face to her paw. The preserve's flags flew at half-mast the next day. For 3 days after Bella's passing, the Bobcats kept watch at the meadow. They refused food, ignored enrichment activities, and growled at keepers who approached. On the 4th morning, Isabel found them gone, but at Bella's burial site, fresh kills lay arranged in a perfect circle. Nearby, paw prints showed they'd taken the trail toward the high ridges, their natural territory at last. Yet trail cameras would later capture them returning monthly, sitting quietly where their canine mother last slept. The message was clear: some bonds transcend even death. And this family, against all odds and expectations, had been real. The enclosure felt hauntingly quiet in the days after Bella's passing. Isabel found herself instinctively saving scraps for a dog who wouldn't come running. The Bobcats had vanished into the high country, leaving only faint tracks in the snow. Then, on the 1-week anniversary, something remarkable happened. Luna appeared at the cabin door at dawn, dropping a freshly caught snowshoe hare on the step before melting back into the trees. "She's providing for us now," Isabel realized with tears in her eyes. The gift was more than food, it was proof the bond endured beyond death. Emails poured in from universities worldwide. Dr. Simon Wright found himself presenting the case study at an international symposium where skeptical scientists became believers when shown footage of Hunter allowing Bella to take food from his mouth. "We need to reconsider everything we know about cross-species imprinting," declared a renowned ethologist. Meanwhile, geneticists discovered Luna's kittens born wild still carried traces of dog DNA in their fur from Bella's constant grooming. The implications rocked the scientific community, sparking debates about the fluidity of interspecies relationships in nature. Springthaw revealed a curious pattern. Every 28 days, like clockwork, all 3 bobcats returned to Bella's meadow. Trail cameras captured them sniffing the wildflowers where she last slept, rolling in the grass, then departing. More astonishing? They began bringing their own offspring. By summer, second-generation bobcats, who'd never met Bella, were participating in the ritual. "It's a learned memorial behavior," marveled Dr. Carter. "They're teaching the next generation about her." Isabel kept a log of these visits, noting how the dates aligned with significant moments from their early days together. The first successful hunt, the day Bella stopped a bobcat fight. The preserve staff knew something was up when walkie-talkies began disappearing again. This time, Bandit, now a grizzled 7-year-old, had raided the maintenance shed, dragging an entire roll of caution tape into the woods. When rangers followed the trail, they found it wrapped around Bella's favorite pine tree in elaborate patterns, dotted with stolen items, a keeper's name badge, a dog brush, even Isabel's missing coffee thermos. "He rebuilt her den," Isabel whispered. The makeshift shrine stood for months until winter winds finally carried it away, though Bandit kept replenishing the stolen items until his passing 2 years later. At 9 years old, ancient for a wild bobcat, Hunter became a legend among preserve staff. When a wildfire threatened the Northridge, he herded Luna and Bandit's latest litters to safety in the old nursery enclosure, just as Bella once guided him. Thermal drones captured him standing sentry at the gate as flames approached, refusing to leave until every kitten was accounted for. Firefighters found him hours later, severely burned but alive, curled in Bella's long-abandoned dog bed. As veterinarians worked to save him, something extraordinary happened. Luna and Bandit appeared outside the clinic, vocalizing constantly until he stabilized. Time worked its inevitable changes. Luna passed peacefully in her sleep under their favorite oak. Bandit succumbed to old age in his waterfall cave, surrounded by a lifetime of stolen treasures. Hunter, the last survivor, grew frail but still made his monthly pilgrimage until one winter morning, rangers found him lying across Bella's grave, his great heart stilled at last. Isabel buried him beside her, the circle now complete. Yet the story didn't end there. Trail cameras soon captured young bobcats visiting the paired graves, some pausing to rub their cheeks against the stones in a scent-marking gesture of remembrance. 5 years after Bella's death, a storm-drenched golden retriever mix was abandoned at the preserve's gates. Skittish and malnourished, she hid from everyone until she wandered near the bobcat graves. The current resident bobcats, Luna and Hunter's descendants, approached curiously, then began grooming her wet fur. Staff watched in stunned silence as history repeated itself, the dog tensually licking a bobcat's face, the same way Bella once had. "It's happening again," whispered the new headkeeper. Isabel, now retired but visiting that day, simply smiled. "Some bonds," she said, "are too powerful to break." Today, Highland Peak's entrance features a bronze statue, Bella lying peacefully while 3 bobcat cubs clamber over her. The plaque reads, "In memory of the family that redefined the possible." Inside, the Bella program pairs orphaned predators with surrogate canines with remarkable success, wolf pups raised by shepherds, a cougar cub nurtured by a pit bull. Each morning, keepers still scatter fresh flowers on the twin graves under the pine tree. And if you're very quiet at dusk, you might glimpse golden-furred shadows moving between the trees, bobcats and dogs together, keeping watch over the next generation of miracles. Dr. Wright's final paper on the case went viral, Love as Survival Strategy, How One Dog's Devotion Challenged Ecological Dogma. It sparked global changes. Sanctuaries now prioritize emotional bonds alongside physical rehabilitation. But for Isabel, the real lesson was simpler. Sitting on her cabin porch as twilight fell, she often saw movement in the meadow, a flash of spotted fur, the glint of canine eyes in the dark. "They're still out there," she'd tell visitors. "Not just the animals, but the idea that love isn't bound by species or science. That sometimes," her voice would catch, "sometimes family chooses you." Years later, a hiker's photo made headlines. A majestic bobcat and golden dog drinking side by side at Highland Peak's remote spring. Genetic testing confirmed the Bobcat was Luna's great-grandkitten. The dog shared Bella's bloodline through an adopted descendant. Scientists called it coincidence. The keepers knew better. As the world moves faster, as habitats shrink and species vanish, the meadow remains. A living testament to the day a dog and 3 bobcats rewrote the rules. Their graves, now weathered but always flower-strewn, bear a single shared epitaph. Together against all odds. And somewhere in the whispering pines, if you listen very carefully, you might still hear the echo of contented purrs and the faint, answering thump of a wagging tail.